Hey guys, it's Dean. This is the first time I've genuinely found it difficult to start a Mario Party retrospective. I normally know exactly what angle I want to approach the review as soon as I finish playing the boards and transition into making the video. But I found that Mario Party 4 has left me in a weird state of limbo. The common consensus with this game is that it's not exactly perceived as one of the better ones, and I can definitely see why, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy my time playing it. After all, it has some of the best minigames of the series thus far. The graphics are more modern given how they've jumped to GameCube, and it removed a lot of the frustrating elements found in Mario Party 3. But for some reason there's a strange emptiness to this entry. Okay, maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let's walk through the analysis and reconvene at the end of the video. When Mario Party 4 released in 2002, it was the first time since 1998 a Mario Party game had skipped a year. Many fans were on their toes waiting for the Mario Party series to make its jump to the next gen, after giving them 3 fun and popular entries on Nintendo 64. Roughly a year after the GameCube launched, we were treated with our next game in the series, Mario Party 4. At the time it was loved, and it's still adored by fans who grew up with it. But it also didn't have any other GameCube Mario Party titles to compete with yet, so it was just nice to be able to play our favorite board game series on the GameCube. I don't usually discuss extras and story modes and cutscenes and whatnot, but at the time, opening up the game and seeing the cutscene in front of us was surreal. Mario Party was clearly a next-gen game. It's laughable, but when my guests stopped by to play this game, I heard more than one comment along the lines of, "Oh, finally, a normal-looking game." Which, as an N64 lover, infuriated me, but that's besides the point. By now you should be familiar with how this goes. The characters here are the same 8 as last time. Board turns can be set from 10 to 50, handicap stars can be turned on or off, bonus stars, hidden blocks with stars and coins, all that stuff. In this game, you also get to create a custom minigame pack, a feature that never returns in Mario Party unfortunately. I'll be honest though, I've never actually created a custom minigame pack. I've always felt like it was against the spirit of the game to remove minigames from the lineup. Part of the fun is landing on a game that I dread playing, but it's nice to have the option. Once you're all set up, you get to the boards and you do the usual thing. Roll to see who goes first, get your 10 coins, and start your game. Regardless of which board you pick, you'll notice a grid-based floating gray platform with a blandish, fun Mario theme to it. This is probably the biggest gripe most people have with Mario Party 4. All of the boards basically look the same with a few tweaks, and it definitely takes away from the experience. Part of the fun of Mario Party is being able to traverse these fun boards that take place in obscure locations, whereas here it legitimately just feels like a generic board game. This doesn't necessarily ruin the game for me though, because if any one of these boards were removed from this title and placed in a different Mario Party game, I'd consider it a unique board. The problem is that it gets very repetitive when you jump between maps. And since we're talking about things that are repetitive, I'll get right into discussing the main mechanic of this game. Mega and Mini mushrooms are the primary focus of this title. Do you remember the mushroom space from Mario Party 1? Well, it's back now and with a vengeance. The board is filled with them, except this time landing on one lets you choose between 2 random boxes to receive either a Mega or a Mini mushroom. The Mega Mushroom gives you 2 dice blocks and allows you to steal 10 coins from any player you pass after you roll. The catch here is that you skip all the major board events like item shops and even star spaces, whereas the Mini Mushroom gives you access to mini board minigames that allow you a shot at earning coins or items, and access to mini pipes that essentially serve the same purpose as skeleton gates did from the previous titles. With the catch of the Mini Mushroom being that it only allows a die that ranges from 1 to 5. Herein lies the entire premise of strategy in Mario Party 4. Do you use your Mega Mushroom to steal 10 coins from your opponents and make up lost space while skipping item shops and potentially overshooting the star? Or do you avoid that risk and just roll a regular turn? Do you risk your Mini Mushroom in hopes that you'll roll enough to make it through the mini pipes and access a different area? Or do you wait a turn to get closer to the pipe and risk passing the pipe altogether? These are questions you'll be asking yourself at the start of almost every turn in Mario Party 4. A lot of the remaining items also just add to this mechanic. The Super Mega Mushroom does the same thing only with 3 dice blocks, so it adds a larger risk-reward factor. The Super Mini Mushroom gives you another 1 through 5 blocks, so you can now move up 10 spaces. I find the Super Mini Mushroom useful because it can increase your odds of making it through the mini pipes rather than rolling too low and being stuck missing the mini pipe during your next turn. Of course, having 2 mini mushrooms could negate this risk, but it also takes up a whole other space in your 3 item spots. The Mini Mega Hammer adds to this tactic because it allows you to pick another player, and it'll randomly turn them Mega or Mini, which means you can force them to go Mega and skip a star. But you might also force them to go Mini instead and be limited to 1 through 5 roll. The Sparky sticker lets you place a trap on the board where your current location is so that if any player passes, they'll lose 10 coins and also remove their Mega or Mini size. So that's 6 items that are directly related to the whole Mini and Mega Mushroom gimmick. And there are only 14 items in this game. 13 if you don't count the Bowser suit because that's an extremely rare item. You also have the Warp Pipe which allows you to swap places with anyone on the board at random. Although it's not really random because there's a roulette wheel and once you figure out that hitting the A button on the player ahead of the one you're trying to land on, you can basically choose who you'd like to switch with. I like this mechanic. It allows you to have some control over who you'd like to swap with, while also requiring you to master the timing. so you could be punished if you screw up. There's even a warp space on the board that uses the same roulette wheel, only this space launches you to the player you land on, but doesn't move them to your location. Likewise, the swap card has the same roulette wheel with the same timing rules, except the player you select will have you swapping your items with them if either of you have any. The Chomp Call will cause Chain Chomp to move the location of the star. Boo's Crystal Ball will summon Boo, who will once again steal coins from a player of your choice for a 5-coin fee or steal a star for a 50-coin fee. The Gad Light serves as the Boo repellent and saves your coins and stars if you're being stolen from, forcing the opposing players to decide if someone is going to bite the bullet and attempt to steal a star from you just so you can lose the Gad Light. The Item Bag returns, which gives you up to 3 random items depending on how many of your 3 slots you have available, but it loses a lot of the usefulness that it had in Mario Party 3 since the item pool here is a lot more streamlined and there are no potential rare items you could receive. The Magic Lamp returns with a price increase to 30 coins like it was back in Mario Party 2. I like that the price went back up, as I always felt the 20 coins it cost in Mario Party 3 was just a little cheaper than it should be. Also, the Genie seems to have gained a ton of weight since the Nintendo 64 days. And then finally you have the Bowser suit that can only be obtained in the very rare instance where landing on a Bowser space will have him give it to you. Landing on the Bowser space in and of itself seems to occur less in this game than it did in previous titles. To add on to that, Bowser can't even be bothered to show face a large chunk of the time. You'll instead be greeted by Koopa Kid, who will either take coins away from you or just take coins away from everybody. In the event that King Koopa does decide to make an appearance, however, things could potentially get interesting. He might do his regular punishments like Bowser's Revolution, Shuffle, or provide you with a Bowser suit, or he might take everyone to a new minigame category called the Bowser Minigame. Bowser minigames have existed in the past, but they were basically regular 4-player minigames that punish the loser. In this case, however, there are 3 minigames specific to the Bowser space that will punish the person who finished in 4th place. One minigame will see the players take turns aiming at a dartboard and try and have the highest score, but hitting the bullseye is an immediate loss. Another sees a player taking turns ground pounding a switch that inflates a balloon, with the player that pops the balloon getting torched. And the final minigame is one that involves Bowser reading out a long list of fruits that he wants at a very fast pace, forcing players to take turns hoping that they bring him the correct fruit he asks for. The player that brings the wrong fruit will get torched and lose. I really enjoy these Bowser minigames. I think they add a very good dynamic to the game. I honestly wish that the Bowser space would exclusively lead to one of these minigames, since I feel like they add a lot more to the board than Koopa Kid or the other items on the roulette wheel do. It's a little disappointing that Bowser minigames are as rare as they are. They could potentially take too long, but given the intensity of the situation, I think that's totally fine. Your red, blue, and happening space return and do their thing, with the happening star still remaining as one of the 3 bonus stars along with the minigame and coin star. And then you have your fortune space, which triggers the reversal of fortune, formerly known as chance time. Honestly, the name change of chance time to reversal of fortune is probably the most accurate depiction of what Mario Party 4 is to the previous titles. Gone are the dice blocks that you used to strike in previous titles, and they're replaced with a pinball machine that you can't time at all because the game adds a random amount of strength to each pull of the lever you do. In Mario Party 3, they made chance time a little less enjoyable because they took the selection of which dice block you can hit first away from the player, whereas here in Mario Party 4, they ruined the event altogether. In fact, the only thing you can have a semblance of control over is making sure that the punishment of this event is a coin swap on the 3rd table. Everything else is way too random and doesn't even come up all that often. I'm glad they changed the name, to be honest, because this is definitely not my chance time. Hashtag not my chance time. And finally, we have the battle space, which triggers a battle minigame where players wager a set number of coins. And yes, unlike Mario Party 3, this will always trigger a battle minigame, unlike the weird mechanic in that game where the roulette wheel has an option to wager 0 coins and cancelling the battle minigame altogether. When a player lands on the space, they'll have an option of 2 battle minigames on the screen and they'll get to select the one that they want. In this title, there are 6 battle minigames, with one of them being luck-based, that being Bowser's Bigger Blast, which returns from its Mario Party 2 days. The minigame is still awesome and still creates some of the best Mario Party memories in my opinion. Paths of Peril sees you race on a narrow path with your multiple routes against your opponents, Trace Race tests your steady hand, Rumble Fishing tests your timing, Butterfly Blitz tests your speed and awareness of your surroundings, and Chain Chomp Fever is probably my favorite because it gives off that classic Mario Party competitive will to be the last person standing. All 6 of these minigames are diverse and enjoyable enough that I don't groan at the sight of any of them. The 4-player minigames are also really fun and don't have too many faults. 2 of them are button mashing minigames, which seems a bit redundant, but that was the case in a lot of the earlier titles, so if anything, this is polished up a bit. 3-throw can be considered slightly unbalanced depending on where your player is positioned, but aside from that, all of the remaining games are balanced and involve little to no luck. Manta Rings, Paratrooper Plunge, Toad's Quick Draw, Stamp Out. Honestly, all of these minigames are fun in their own right, with Book Squirm being one of the most popular games of the series, and I can definitely see why. That minigame gets so much more intense and enjoyable the longer it goes on and really tests you. All 16 of these minigames are solid. Likewise with the 9 2 vs 2 minigames. They're all different in their mechanics and require coordination between you and your teammate, whether it's scaling a mountainside while tied together or making your way through a maze to find a key in a treasure chest. You'll find yourself yelling across the room to make some semblance of a game plan. The most popular of these being Dungeon Duos, which is a team-based obstacle course with you and your partner that will definitely have you on the edge of your seat in competition. Weirdly enough, Dungeon Duos gave me flashbacks to playing Gears of War co-op, which is definitely something I never expected to say during a Mario Party retrospective. The 1 vs 3 minigames in this title don't really fare as well though. I know every Mario Party title has issues balancing them, but whenever a minigame is drawn, you can usually already tell who's going to win just by the reaction of everyone in the room when it's selected. Candlelight Flight, Fish and Drips, Money Belts, Goal, Hop or Pop, and even Blame It on the Cranes seem to favor the 1. The only exception I've seen to this is when the 1 hasn't played the minigame yet, but after a few rounds it seems to be the case. Whereas anytime Making Waves was drawn, the team of 3 would let out a sigh of relief because they'd expect to win it. Which means only 2 out of the 9 games, those being Tree Stomp and Hide and Go Boom, are the only 2 that give you an iota of balance, and even those 2 aren't without flaw. Oddly enough, these 1 vs 3 minigames are still enjoyable, and when you factor in diverse skill sets and gaming experience levels that you'd usually find with a Mario Party 4-player game, a lot of those balancing issues go out the window and it leaves you with a very fun package of minigames. But all of these, along with the 3 Bowser minigames, are all there is. There are no duel minigames because there aren't any duels in Mario Party 4. You're no longer able to land on a space with an opponent in the last 5 turns or purchase a dueling glove and challenge them for their coins, which is a huge loss in my opinion. Luckily, duels make a return for the better in Mario Party 5, but I'll get to that in my next video. There is, however, the return of the board-specific minigames. In this title, they're called mini-minigames, which I mentioned earlier. In each board, if you pass by a mini-minigame on a turn in which you've used the mini-mushroom, then you'll be given a chance at earning coins or items via a mini-minigame. But that's the extent I'm willing to talk about them, since they feel more similar to action time spaces in Mario Party 3 than minigames. But I guess that's why they're called mini-minigames. Speaking of action time, on the boards there are some events that are either triggered by a happening space or by passing by a certain location that allows you to move across the board and collect coins. But again, I don't feel obligated to spend too much time discussing those either, since they're not really minigames and more of a gimmick that allows you to transport yourself around the board while receiving some free coins. Actually, you've probably noticed I did things a bit differently this time around. I discussed the minigames prior to discussing the boards. You've also probably noticed this video is a lot shorter than my previous ones. Well, there's a reason for that. The boards in Mario Party 4 are for one reason or another uninspiring. And I'd be lying if I said it didn't have to do with the fact that the Mega and Mini Mushroom focus played such a huge role in the gameplay. Toad's Midway Madness sees you in an amusement park where a roller coaster might send you across the board if someone lands on a happening space. The other gimmick is these teapot junctions which alternate direction they're pointing every time someone passes them. Due to the placement of the first teapot junction, you'll often have 1 or 2 players stuck in a loop at the start of the game for quite a while just because they keep passing the junction at the wrong time. Shy Guy's Jungle Jam is probably the most normal board in this game in that it doesn't have a weird enough gimmick that'll keep you stuck in one location of the board, or at the very least if it does, it's rare enough where you can chalk it up to regular Mario Party unluckiness. Goomba's Greedy Gala is divided into 4 sections that gives you a roulette that randomly selects a location to send you. The catch is that you can pay 5 or 10 coins to largely increase your odds of going towards the path of the star, or 20 coins to guarantee you're sent to the path of the star. I found that on this roulette that 5 coins is usually enough to guarantee you're headed towards the star, but if you have the coin to spend more and you're not a risk taker, then by all means bribe Goomba more. Each quadrant also has a dice block that allows you to compete with Goomba and attempt to roll more than him to remain on your path, otherwise you get sent back to the start. You can skip this Goomba altogether by using a Mega Mushroom, but you also risk skipping everything else on the board since you're Mega. Boo's Haunted Bash has 3 bridges that disappear and reappear every time the pink Boo in the middle of the board is passed. There's also the return of Big Boo, which can steal stars or points from every other player for the right price. But similar to how it was in Mario Party 2, this is a very rare occurrence and would require 150 coins to steal stars from all 3 other players, assuming they each have a star. Koopa's Seaside Soiree has 2 junctions that will randomly send you either to the top or the bottom of the board with no pattern, and Bowser's Gnarly Party has bridges that will collapse and disappear when 3 players pass over them. You might notice, I don't have footage of those last 2 boards. Or, honestly, given the design of the boards, you might not even notice at all. And that's because in my pool of roughly 10 people from the ages of 12 to 30 that I normally play these games with to capture footage, nobody wanted to play Mario Party 4 anymore. That's right, whether it was my niece, my cousin, my friend, or whoever I asked, they all said they don't want to play anymore if we're playing 4. In fact, when we started playing Mario Party 5, they were all relieved that we were experiencing a normal Mario Party game now. And any of you Mario Party aficionados will know that Mario Party 5 is anything but normal given its item system. In the first 3 Mario Party titles, if I couldn't get a group together, I'd suck it up and play with CPU characters because I needed footage so I can upload these videos. But for this game, I couldn't even be bothered to do that. None of it is a surprise to me. It's funny because I played this game as a kid and I thought I'd be coming here and defending Mario Party 4 and its mushroom strategy, and when I started recording footage I realized that this game is as basic as it gets. And I'm not even talking about the boring aesthetics and repetitive design of the boards. I'm talking about the fact that every single turn is basically, should I use this mushroom or should I not? Most of these games just leads to everybody running to an item shop and just praying to the heavens that there's a magic lamp so you could fly to the star space. The boos are poorly placed, the happening spaces aren't all that exciting, the gimmicks are lame. In fact, these are the only interesting things that occur in this game. Bowser minigames, and they're fairly rare. Minigames could be worth 2 or 3 times their value if a lucky minigame is triggered. Lottery shops could see you winning some coins, but you'll usually lose. You'll also be given a lottery ticket that might win you a star at the end of the game, but you only have like a 1.5% chance of that happening. The last 5 turn event will either see coin values doubled on red and blue spaces, turn the red spaces into Bowser spaces, turn red spaces into fortune spaces, or make all stars free, which is really cool but also very rare. Aside from that, I don't really have much else that I want to talk about. The minigames are solid, but I've repeated over and over again that you can find enjoyment in every Mario Party title by just playing the minigames. The boards are the bread and butter of Mario Party, and if the boards are weak, then the game is ultimately weak. At the end of the day, this is still Mario Party, and if the year was 2002 when this game came out on GameCube and you purchased it, then it was probably a ton of fun. I remember it being a ton of fun. But in an age of retro game collections and emulation, I don't even know why you'd play this game if not for the nostalgia trip. I criticized Mario Party 3 probably a lot more than it deserved because at the time I was only comparing it to the games before it. But if I played Mario Party 4 in this retrospective before playing Mario Party 3, then I'd be hailing it as a proper return to form. Mario Party 2 is still my favorite of these 4 titles, and I can find good reason to play either Mario Party 3 or 1. But I can't find a good reason to boot up Mario Party 4. Book Squirm and Dungeon Duos can only take you so far, and when the board play is weak, then why even bother playing Mario Party? There are a ton of minigame compilation games that do a good enough job without the boards across all of the Nintendo consoles. If you're getting a group together to play some old Mario Party games, skip this title unless you have nostalgia for it. I can say with confidence that the previous 3 are better, and if you're adamant about playing on GameCube, I'm fairly confident it's not a stretch to say that 5 through 7 are also better. I guess when it comes to Mario Party, 4 is truly a reversal of fortunes. Alright, that was a joke. I wouldn't actually end the video that way. Honestly, if you love Mario Party 4, then do your thing. Don't let me hate. At the end of the day, it's still Mario Party and you can have fun with it. But I'm working on Mario Party 5 now and should have that video uploaded fairly soon. My channel is slowly but surely growing, and if you've been around since the first video, then I'm glad I was able to entertain you and I hope I continue to do so. If this is your first NintenDeen video, and you want more Mario Party, then check out my first 3 retrospectives and some of my other uploads. Just please like, share, and comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. It helps a lot more with the YouTube algorithm than you'd think. All that being said, I look forward to sharing my next video with you. Thanks for watching. Dean, out.